All right, I made it. We can start.
Right, all right.
Yeah, Katie was acting really weird today.
How so?
All right, Katie, I'm heading over to Alex's place to... Hello. Hey, Katie? Oh!
What are you doing with that? That's none of your business. Leave it alone.
Just weird. Anyway, let's talk about a movie about a bunch of nuns who wish they could get married.
Let's do that.
I've brought something for you. Her name is Hassemple, but we call her Kenji. She's 17, she's an orphan, and it's high time she was married.
Black Narcissus is the story about a bunch of nuns who live in a convent that's on top of a freaking huge mountain. When a tall, dark, and handsome government worker comes into their lives, one of them, played by Deborah Kerr, begins to struggle with her own vows of celibacy. The others go bat crazy. So this is one of my favorite movies. I'm not even going to final thoughts. I love this movie.
Really? One of your favorites?
It's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. It's probably in my top 10. But you've seen this before, right?
I have, quite a while ago. Yeah. Nick was also part of the Letterbox. Yeah. It's also, I guess, one of his favorite films.
Well, that's Nick, though. He's weird.
Yeah, I know that as well. But yeah, he showed it to me quite a long time ago, and just saying this is a really weird film. And
the movie starts off as kind of a straightforward drama, and it turns into a freaking horror movie in the third act.
It really does, yeah. It's just like you slowly kind of see them like start to devolve, and all of a sudden they just snap.
It was made in 1947, I believe, by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, who made a bunch of other movies that I've heard are amazing but I've never actually seen, including The Red Shoes, The Life and Times of Colonel Blimp. Now, they had the choice to shoot some of the movie in the actual Himalayan mountains, or at least in India. The studio said, hey, if you want to shoot some of the movie out here, you can. And they turned it down because they wanted the film to have a consistent look and feel. So they shot the entire movie in an actual soundstage. And I think that works to their advantage because the film has a very consistent look and feel. If they had shot some of it in the mountains, you would have been able to tell that was shot on location, this was shot in a soundstage.
Exactly, yeah. Not only was it really consistent in the overall look of the film from beginning to end, it's gorgeous, really.
And there's some amazing matte painting work in here as well.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I remember watching it for the first time and having Nick tell me, that's a painting, that's not real. And I almost couldn't believe it at first.
Another interesting thing about this movie is that it was made in 1947 when a lot of films were in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Color wasn't the norm at that point.
Yeah.
And they decided to make this film in color. I'm not sure whether they shot it in color or whether they colorized it in later on. But I find it interesting that they decided to do that with this movie, considering that there's very little actual color in the movie. If you think about it, they're shooting a movie up in these white-capped mountains with nuns in white habits, very pale skin, not a whole lot of color variety in there. But when color does come into the equation, it really stands out. They plant some flowers, the flowers bloom at the end, color everywhere all of a sudden. one of the nuns goes crazy, and one of your first shots of her is in a red dress with bright red lipstick. That stands out because we haven't seen a whole lot of color up until that point.
Yeah, that I would say that there are instances in which people all do wear kind of like colorful clothes, like the general's son, who comes and he's dressed very extravagantly. So his clothes, everything he wears is kind of like a brighter color, a lot of gold, a lot of like just really nice colors. So other than him, like you said, there isn't really much other color except in those very specific points where it's used very effectively.
And when they use it, gosh dang, does it frighten the out of you.
Yes, it does.
Let's talk about scary nuns.
Scary nuns.
Because this movie's got some scary nuns in it.
So, one particular scary nun.
Sister Claire! What has happened, sister? Oh, sister, they brought in a woman. Our first bad case. She was covered in blood. I've never seen such a sight. She must have cut a vein or an artery. I had such a time stopping the bleeding. I've never seen bleeding like that before. I didn't know what to do at first, but at last I managed to stop it.
So the plot eventually becomes a story about nuns that kind of go crazy. When you first meet them, you kind of get the idea that they have a sort of longing for what they had before they became nuns.
Yeah.
Some of them were dating and...
Yeah, and you get that sense through a series of flashbacks and through some of the nuns' minds.
You have these two nuns in the movie. There's Sister Claudia and Sister Ruth. Mm-hmm. Both of them develop an attraction of sorts for the only man there, their handyman, Mr. Dean. Now, Sister Claudia realizes that this is an unhealthy attraction, and she uses her brain to think, well, I'm just gonna keep running these nuns things and not let this Mr. Dean guy in the short shorts and shirtless running around our convent distract me. But Sister Ruth ends up going insane because she doesn't fight her passions, her emotions, and her unhealthy desires, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that really escalates to the point where she does decide to leave the convent. And she tries to go after Dean, in which case he's like, not having any of that, nah.
Mr. Dean better like, y'all crazy nuns stay out of my life.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, that's kind of what he's saying there.
Now, Mr. Dean is a swell guy and all. He's
Definitely
a pretty cool cat. But he's not above being an asshole at times.
Yes, especially showing up drunk to a, what was it, like Christmas mass?
Because if he wants to drink in a celebratory mood, that's fine. He doesn't realize that if you show up at a convent drunk to their church service, that's a little insensitive.
Yeah, he does not really care.
And so in these three people, these three characters, you see three kind of different views of life, and who is the one character who gets the most out of the movie is Sister Claudia, because even though she has to leave in the end, she does have to give up. She realizes that this is the best thing for the convent. This wasn't the best thing for us to stay down here.
Yes.
Except for Mr. Dean, who's going to party with the Indians forever.
Doesn't care.
I want to see a whole movie just about him living in the Himalayas.
I would like to see that.
A whole movie starring Short Shorts Mr. Dean.
No shirt, Mr. Dean.
Yeah, it's became a whole different kind of movie all of a sudden. Mr. Dean and the Nuns. I'm going to hell.
You're unforgivable.
No, I won't be a nun. No, I cannot be a nun. For I am so fond of pleasure.
So, Alex, if you had to choose between watching Black Narcissus or watching Zardoz, what would you choose?
You know, I've actually never seen Zardoz.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's watch it right now. So what did you think of Black Narcissus?
Well, actually, I did like it. Like I said before, I think the location is kind of one of the it's one of my favorite aspects of the film.
Okay.
And I think that's really plays really well with the film as a whole. So I think I like that. I like the cinematography, the technical aspect, the color palette is great. The acting is really cool.
All around, it's a very well put together movie. Everything is built to create this little world within the film that may not be the most realistic world, but it is one that fits the tone of the movie. The way the characters react in a slightly over the top way, but it works for the style they're going for. But it is not a style over substance movie. There's some really interesting themes in there. There's some really interesting characters in there. And this movie also has one of the best uses of Deborah Kerr playing a Irish nun, since heaven knows Mr. Allison.
Okay.
You haven't seen that movie.
Nope, I
have
have not
no
seen
idea.
it.
I'll throw a poster up to give us a little context.
Okay, thank you.
It has Richard
Look
Matheson
at
in
that
it.
poster.
Yeah, look at that post. That's Zardoz. Get the fuck out of Zardoz.
Oh, Zardoz, come back.
And the story itself is one that you don't see. I mean, either from the 1940s, you wouldn't see this sort of story be put on film that frequently. And even modern day, could you see them making a movie just about nuns going crazy in the Alps?
No.
Because it's not the Alps, it's the Himalayas. I f***ed up.
Now you f***ed up!
Alrighty.
All set.
That's all she wrote. I'll see you later.
Alrighty, see ya.
Same time, 2 weeks from now.
You got it. Alrighty.
And I'm not drunk. Oh,
Sure. Okay.
Katie, I'm home. Why is it so dark in here? Katie? Nope, I'm not going back there tonight. She's gone nuts.